Hello, good evening guys and girls. Hope everyone's doing well. Now you catch me on a Thursday evening in Maidstone truck stop. I'm about to start in about 4 minutes time to head across to Dover to catch the ferry to go to Rotterdam. First and foremost, I want to say give a quick shout out to my day one subscribers and loyal guys who always leave some very kind messages on here. So first off, I'd love to give a shout out to Miss Gillian, Miss Orla, my friend Luke, Niall, Gary, my friend Raphael, Daza, Callum, Michael, Hugh, Pippa and Benji, Andrew, Ollie and Osprey 2K5. I hope I've got everybody in there. If I've missed anybody, I do apologise. I'll try to get it back in for you guys anyway. So I'm just gonna get ready to start my shift very soon, and just to show you here the key about being able to park properly and make sure you leave yourself with a line of sight when you're ready to leave so you're not blocked in. So I see these guys to my right here. If they need to leave, they're well and truly foot. So that's why I keep myself with a direct line of sight here so I can pull forward and do a quick U-ey and get back out again. So catch me back when we're about to leave here, and then we'll get on the road down to Dover. Now you'll see we've got the suspension slightly down here. I've dropped it ever so slightly. Reason being, I don't even know, this unit is not as high as a V8. Like, watch our tail swing with the other guy parked next to me. Even though it's not as high as a V8, it's I checked myself, obviously the stats on these, they are these particular units are 450s. These are just a little under 4 meters, but with the Schmitz cargo bull trailers, these are usually between 4 and 4.2 meters. So I'm gonna err on the side of caution and call it 4.1. So I've dropped it ever so slightly here just to make it. Now look at this, we're gonna have to try and get over here. Just have to be careful a minute so we can get out. As you can see, the others have done here. So this is where you've got to watch your mirrors. You don't just swing out without looking. So here we're going to have to be extremely careful to get out. Right, we're going to have to raise the suspension back up again here. Let's make sure we can actually get out. Oh, Jesus Christ. Now this is taking a piss ever so slightly here. I'll have to put you down a minute because I can't see properly. Well, this fucking guy here, you can see me trying to struggle to get out, so he tried to push his way through and almost fucking smashed the trailer in the corner. Absolute fucking idiot, honestly. And the guy's parked in the corner, they shouldn't park where he is. So let's see if we can get out. Well, I told the guy to fucking shift there, can't be parking that on the corner. Honestly, there's a thing, you've got to have a bit of common sense. If you're going to park, make sure people can get out. Oh well, that's the joys of trucking. So now this is the issue where we've got nowhere to park. Now this is fine here because you can get around, but for him to park on that corner before, we've had to literally wait about 5-10 minutes to wake him up, to get the other guy to back up a little bit, and then get the other driver to shift his truck Honestly, it never ends.
Manténgase a la izquierda. Luego, en la rotonda, gire a la izquierda. Primera salida.
See, you could have parked around here, right up there. And that's the problem if you don't get parked up early enough. These are the kind of issues you face. So now I'm going to let this guy go here because he's going to pull out. Right, let's go. Right, road ahead closed. Now this has had this before. Now they closed this road beforehand this morning. So yet again, HGVs use M20 via junction 7. Honestly, this is a joke that we've got to deal with. And funnily enough, the topic of conversation today is actually going to be mental health for trucking. Excuse me. This was asked for by Gillian. I'm sure Miss Orla as well spoke about the mental health issues. Well, just to let you guys know, now with respect to mental health, you know, it's nothing to be laughing and joking about, to be honest. Especially if you're going through issues at home, which, you know, everybody has in this day and age. You know, no one's living a perfect world, no one's living the dream, as I like to make you think, and if they are, they're very, very fortunate and very, very lucky to have found such peace and quiet. Now, again, I'm having, you know, issues personal, but, you know, I'm not going to put that all out on the internet. You know, everyone's got their own personal battles, personal demons, issues going on at home, affecting everybody. So let's talk about the topic of mental health. Now, if you're going to be a truck driver, now again, if you choose to be a tramper, again, it's a choice. Now, I hate the word tramping, you know, tramp, you know, it's got such bad connotations, as if you're a delinquent, you're a vagabond, you're a homeless person. No, we're actually working in a truck and we're out all week. And sadly, the conditions that we get dealt with sometimes. Now, that's one of our lot there. Heading down to Dover as well. So yeah, so the conditions sometimes that we get dealt with, like you got to stay in a lay-by, no access to toilet facilities, such things and such and like, no access to showers, etc, etc. So, you know, people, I guess, if you were to call you a tramp, well, it's no fault of our own, so not being a tramper, but at tramping, it's almost like a lifestyle choice. If you like being away, you like your own company, if you're single, if you haven't got a bird, you've not got a fella, you've got no kids, then yeah, tramping is a way to go. You know, if you want to get out and see the country in the UK, Ireland, Scotland, Wales, international, if you get the opportunity, then I'd 100% recommend you guys go out and get in a truck and do the tramping experience. But on a level, if you've got a family, if you've got a partner, I suggest you do day work instead, where you're home every night. Because in this job, it can cause a lot of issues in relationships. If you've got problems, you've not, you know, got unresolved issues with relationships, etc. Right, we're not going to go all the way around. We're going to do a left, I think. So I'll turn this off for now because it's trying to keep sending me back to where we came from. So, as I was saying, right, is it sending us? To Dover. Not wet. Right, just give me a minute here. Let's just make sure. Right, let's go on the M2. Okay, forget that. We're going to go to the M2A2. And it's sent me the other way there, for the love of God. Right, we're going to go the M2A2 anyway. I know this way. We're going to go past Canterbury and drop down the other side, so forget that. We're not going to mess about with all this. It's just irritating sometimes. So yeah, I'm going to go this way. I'm not going to bother. So yeah, so with the, I was just saying beforehand, sorry, with the aforementioned mental health, etc. So if you're single, or if you've got a partner, if you've got a family, you got a partner, you're better off doing day work where you're home every night. You know, if you've got the option to do so, I'd recommend you go down that route. But if you're single, man or woman, then go ahead and go and do some tramping work. Come on, cards, you can see there's a thing slow moving here. Honestly, if you're that blind, sorry mate, you're gonna have to wait now. Sorry, you've seen you had plenty of opportunity, you're not coming out now. Imbecilic drivers. Stevie Wonder behind the wheel. So see, sometimes you get sidetracked trying to make a topic of conversation or a topic of a video because you see nonsense like that. So, as I was saying, if you've got a family, or if you're single, choose what line of work would be better for you. So, depends on your personal circumstances. You can't tell somebody what to do because you don't know their own personal circumstances in life and in their relationships. So if you don't know that, you can't tell somebody what to do. If somebody's an adult, let them choose their own path. Excuse me. So let them choose their own path in life. Now, mental health, whether it's you're a man, you're a woman, you know, don't suffer in silence with it. Whether it's if you've got depression, if you're having relationship problems, if you're having any kind of issues, don't suffer in silence. You know, speak to a friend, speak to a family member. You know, just try to get some help. You know, some people like to go to counselling. Now again, it's to each their own, but you know, I don't have the money to be going to a counsellor. And sometimes, you know, as men, we deal with mental health in silence and by ourselves, and it can have a detrimental effect on your health, mental, physical, and it can also affect your sleeping patterns. It can affect your relationships with your family. It can affect your job. There's a lot of things, you know, that can actually affect in your day-to-day. Right, let's raise the suspension back again for a minute. I'll drop it when I'm over the water. So yeah, it can actually have a negative effect on your whole life, on your whole personality, on your whole psyche as a person. Now, truck driving, trust me, it'll change you. It can do it both for the better and for the worse. But as long as you go into truck driving with an open mind to know, you know, it's not always going to be sunshine, rainbows. You're going to get some rainy days, a lot of rainy days, but it's how you deal with it. Now, it's easier said than done, don't get me wrong. It's not easy for everybody, definitely not easy for everyone, myself included. You know, I've had a few trials and tribulations where, you know, where kids are involved. Trust me, when you've got children involved and you're having issues, you know, it changes you dramatically, believe me. Changes you absolutely dramatically. So definitely anybody out there, you know, if you are suffering with any kind of issues, do not suffer in silence. Make sure you're always, you know, prepared, whether you send a text, you send a message to your friend, you know, it literally, make sure that you do speak about it. Don't bottle it up, don't hold it in, don't bottle it up. Definitely make sure you do speak about it, because the worst thing you can have, if you've got any kind of mental health problems, now I'll bring one on a perfect example. Now, we've all heard about the Air India crash, unfortunately, where, you know, how many people lost their lives, and now it's coming out now that the pilot was having some kind of mental health episode, some kind of mental health problem, where he decided to let's just say unalive not only himself, but, you know, other innocent people with his act. So that just, you know, is a perfect example of mental health. You know, and like I said, people would think, oh, he had a great life as a pilot, he's flying a 787, you know, he's living it up, he's living the dream. But within that dream, he might be having his own personal demons, personal nightmare that's afflicted him. And if the reports are true, it's a very, very sad case. You know, it's a waste of life. So, you know, it is definitely a shame, and God forbid that, you know, if you ever, you know, behind the wheel of a wagon and you think to yourself one day, you know what, I've had enough, stuff it, I'm going to take this thing, whether loaded or not. Even these things empty, you're looking about 16, 17 tons, 17,000 kilograms empty. If you just want to, you know, ram it off a bridge, jump off a bridge, crash it off a bridge, you know, unalive yourself, God forbid, hopefully nobody ever does that. Or even worse, if you want to, you say, you know what, I've had enough of these idiot car and van drivers, I'm going to just take them all with me, you know, then you'd be amazed. So seriously, guys and girls, do not suffer in silence. Now, another thing, which, now moving along to something completely different, now this is literally going to vex me out. One of the things I'm going to talk about today as well, which needs to be banned in this country, and I don't care what anybody says, you know, freedom of speech is still alive and well. We're not living in a dictatorship, but some would argue with Stasi at number 10. Now, one thing that really, really ticks me off, but I've noticed more and more in England, more so. Now, literally just before I started, I was dying for a number one, for a pee-pee, and I went to the toilet. As I got in there was a shitload of water on the floor, with toilet paper on the floor, and a plastic bottle just left on the side of the toilet. Now, are you actually kidding me? And we all know who does this, and I'm not going to beat about the bush about it anymore. You know, we're an adults. Now, the people from the so-called religion of peace, they're the ones that have to go and cleanse themselves properly, even though we're living in the 21st century. We've got toilet paper that everybody else uses. You've got kids, I've got baby wipes. But no, these lot have to go in with a bloody plastic bottle after you've been to the toilet. To so-called to cleanse yourself, as it dictates in their book that you have to keep yourself clean after such acts. Well, why does everybody else can use toilet paper absolutely fine with no issues, and yet for the cleanliness, these dirty bastards leave plastic bottles of water on the floor of the toilet paper on the toilet, and leave a fucking puddle on the floor for us to go in after them and to have to deal with that. So where's the cleanliness for them to pick up their fucking mess, pick up your plastic bottles, mop up the water you've dropped on the bloody floor, so we're not having to walk in it, and then potentially walk your dirty water back into our cabs? Because I've seen that many times, you know what, and I've held it in, but tonight, sorry, it's just come back out again. So this is another thing that plays on my mental health. It irks me beyond belief. You know, sadly, in this country, now I'm Roman Catholic, Christian Catholic, whatever you want to say it. Now, let's just say, for example, this one particular religion, nobody can criticize, nobody can have a honest sit down and have a discussion without fear of being called an Islamophobe. Now, a phobia is an irrational fear of something. Now, I told you my phobia last week when I had my truck that was breaking down, that the gearbox could have gone into neutral, the brakes could have failed, and I could have gone flying off the edge of a mountain with 40 tons on the back. Now, that was a real fear of dying. That was an irrational fear, that was a real phobia. Now, with this, with Christianity, in this country, we've always been told to, oh yes, turn the other cheek, be tolerant of others, be this, be that, be this. Well, this kind of attitude is what's sadly going to lead to your downfall, and our downfall, sadly. What happened to an eye for an eye in the Bible? Now, we're being tolerant to the absolute intolerant. Let me repeat, we're being tolerant to the absolute intolerant. Now, I always hear this bullshit on the news, in the media, that's spouted about. Yes, the religion of peace. It's the religion of peace. Alright then, the religion of peace. I'll tell you what, let's say for example now, yeah, I'm a Roman Catholic. Let's just say, I've said, I've had enough of what these Catholic priests have done to these poor young girls and boys, altar boys and altar girls, over the years. I'm disgusted with it. I'm too soft, too tolerant to everything. I'll tell you what, I'm going to leave the Catholic faith. I'm going to become agnostic, or whatever, an atheist. I'm going to leave the faith, or I'm going to leave Judaism, I'm going to leave Sikhism, I'm going to leave Buddhism. Now, any of these aforementioned religions, am I going to have a death warrant for apostasy because I said I want to leave Christianity or Catholicism? Let that sink in. Are you going to get a death sentence for apostasy and any of those 4 religions except religion of peace? So, can you not see how this is a bit of a silly one, this, the religion of peace? That calls for the murder of people that don't agree that want to leave a religion. So, as far as I'm concerned, sadly, the liberal government in this country and a lot of Western countries, you're leading your lambs to the slaughter. You're essentially like turkeys voting for Christmas. Now, as truck drivers, you know, we're classed as a working class, but the masses, the working classes. So you're going to get from me, you know, raw, uncut. It's not always going to be pretty to the ears. It's not going to be always going to be articulate. There's going to be a lot of swearing in there sometimes. I feel very strongly about a lot of crap I see on the roads and a lot of crap I see happening in this country. Now, I speak to a load of drivers. I've been overseas, I've been to a lot of countries, and you wonder why a lot of drivers are leaving the UK. It's not about Brexit. Some of it's got to do with that, some of the red tape, some of the nonsense. Literally, from what the general consensus is, the UK, the United Kingdom, might as well be called the United Arab Emirates Mark II, because that's what it's turning into. And people here, you know, it amazes me. You've got a small minority of people, a small minority of a religion that's silencing the majority, and the majority are too scared to speak about it. So what does that say? The amount of power that these guys have got, and they're being held by the government. So the sooner the majority speaks up about it, the better. Because how can you let a small minority control this country? Now, could you imagine if we were to go to Saudi Arabia, where Mecca, their most holy of holies, is situated? Now, as Christians, we go to Saudi Arabia, we have to adhere to all their Islamic laws, which is only fair. It's an Islamic country, it's an Islamic land. Now, there'd be no alcohol, no boozing, no bacon sarnies, sadly, so no Greggs for me. Now, could you imagine if I said over there, now, like you see in the UK, everywhere you look, halal meat this, halal meat that, halal certified this, halal certified that. Let's just go to a Saudi Arabia. I'll tell you what, let's just say I want, you know, non-halal meats, or let's go and get some kosher meats in Saudi Arabia. Let's try and let's shut down a lot of their mosques, and let's try and open countless churches. Countless churches. Let's see how far you would get with it in that country. So if we're preaching about, you know, tolerance, when we're going over there, and respect, it's mutual respect. Respect should be earned and not given to anybody. So when you come here, you need to have a manners, you need to understand the history of this country. You know, you need to be able to speak English, full stop. I don't care what anybody says. Now, as you guys know, I've told you before, I wasn't born here. I came here when I was almost 11 from Mauritius. Now, we were formerly a British colony, so I had to learn English, French in primary school before I came over. Now, we speak Creole at home. Now, don't get me wrong, if you've got a native tongue, if like me and my mum, we always speak Creole on the phone to each other. When I go around to see her, sweet, no problem at all. You know, I'll speak to my man Creole, but when I'm out in public, I'll make sure I'll be speaking in English so that the natives don't think we're speaking ill, we're speaking badly of them, and it's only manners and decorum. I'm not saying that, you know, you can't keep your culture. I'm not saying, you know, you can't do that. I'm just saying, if you're out in public, you're in England, you have to learn to assimilate, to speak English, and you need to be able to get by in the country. So, you know, that's not a crazy statement to make in this day and age. That's just normal life. Because we're always going on about flip-flops, immigrants coming to this country. Now, put it this way, I've got loads of friends, Eastern Europeans. My good friend Rafael from Poland, this guy speaks perfect English. He speaks Polish, and I'm sure he speaks a bit of Russian as well from me. He's done a load of international work. He's got that much international work, he puts me to shame. He's been here, there and everywhere. Not just around Europe, he's been everywhere. Been in Africa, he's been, you know, he's been a lot of places, put it that way, as a truck driver. Now, he's a hard working bloke. He comes here, now get the joke, yeah? He comes here, he speaks perfect English, yet somehow, you know, he might get discriminated against because he speaks with an accent. Well, so did I. When I first came over, my English, I spoke English, but the English I learned wasn't the colloquial English that you speak. Like up north in Manchester, you've got that many accents. You got Manc, Scouse. You've got that many different regional dialects, where it took me a while to kind of get used to it. Now, I'll give you a funny story. When I first came over here, now I had to learn English from, you know, grammar and everything from the books. So we learned the proper Queen's English. Now, when I first came over, you're going to laugh at this. Obviously, up north, you know how we speak. I can't remember what I was doing. I was out and about. I remember this like yesterday. I was out and about, and this old bloke came up to me. Hey up, how are you doing? You alright? I said, yeah, I'm okay. I didn't know how to answer. Are you alright? So I didn't know what this meant. He goes, can I ask you a question? Have you got time on your cock? No, can you imagine? I looked at him. I was thinking, this is one of these Catholic priests. Have you got time on your cocker? Time on your cock? Well, obviously, you know up north, you know what it means. Obviously, you've heard these different terms. Now, over the years, I've embraced it, and I find it is funny. You know, you hear the different accents, and again, I've assimilated, and you get used to it. But the amount of times that I've seen where people say, these buffoons that say that some parts of England have got these no-go areas. I'll tell you what, mate, you guys are living in a different world. You should try going out to some parts of Birmingham, some parts of Bradford, Leicester, London, Manchester, Wakefield, Dewsbury, Bolton, Blackburn, Burnley, the list goes on. And I've been to some of these places, and people are looking at me as if I shouldn't be there. And I'm thinking to myself, you know what? I could say the same about you guys. You know, but not a word of English is spoken. Small, closed-off communities, no assimilation, nothing. Palestine flags being thrown left, right, and centre. Now, what needs to happen in this country, like they do in America, like they do in Spain? France is turning as well, slightly. Fly your flags proudly. Ireland. You know, Ireland. You know, a great country, got some fantastic people on Ireland, lovely, lovely people. Now these guys are your brothers in arms. They speak the same language. You know, they've got similar values, family values to yourselves. Okay, you know, some Protestant, some Catholic. But yet, you know, the turmoils that Ireland and England have had over the years, these guys are your brothers and sisters. And look at what you've done to them. You've fought them tooth and nail. And yet you've got these people that are coming into this country that don't hold any shared values. They don't speak a common language. They've got a completely different religion. They don't want to assimilate. And you're just opening these with open arms. The government, honestly, should be done for treason. So should the king, for treason. You know, you're not looking after your people in this country. And a lot of the people here, like a lot of the drivers, they've left. England's gone, England's fallen. And I agree with him. You know, we joke about it, but you're practically saying, you know, England is turned into an Islamic state. It's practically going that way now. So, unfortunately, we need to stop being tolerant of the intolerant people. And like you said, we're truck drivers, we're not stupid. You know, we're working class of this country. You know, we keep this country running. And you got all these toffs, eating educated buffoons sat around in bloody Downing Street. Here, here, Mr. Speaker, here. Same old bullshit, different government. So sadly, you know, we need to start looking into history before it starts to repeat itself again, people. You really need to, because it's beyond a joke. That's all I'm going to say to that. Anyway, I'm going to stop for some diesel now and then get down to Dover, because that's just got me worked up already. So let's pull in, let's top up a little bit, and I'll catch up with you guys in Dover. Oh God, and there's no diesel. You've got to be kidding me. Talk about mental health. There's another thing that adds to it. And let's see on this side as well. Have we got no diesel on this side? Of course we haven't. Anyway, let's get out of here. Seriously, what a joke. Right, come on, car drivers. Now, surely you're not that blind. Move. Come on, move, you buffoons. Now, this junction here is a bit of a dodgy one, because put them bloody cones on the end. But anyway, so yeah, so you guys need to revisit the history books before history revisits you guys. Not you, us guys and girls. Seriously. And it needed to be said. And the thing with the plastic bottles, I just literally topped it off for me. That literally just got me worked up even more. Because I walked in there, had a load of fucking piss water, dirty water on my shoes. Absolutely angered me. Alright guys, we just dropped down to Dover. I'm going to go and fill up with some diesel first, and then come back whilst I'm here. I need to get some ginger bickies for the crossing after from Hook to Harwich. But I didn't have any in the WH Smiths in Maidstone. So I'm hoping, now these must have just come off a ferry. I'm hoping the fuel island is clear so I can just get in, do a U-ey, top up, get my ginger bickies and get gone again. nice hotel there. Nice mauve morado. Yes, the BP's open. Right, Monsieur Citra, keep it in your lane, please. Right, Denmark, Kim Johansen. Fill up. Let's get in, and hopefully we've got him before Monsieur Citra. Yes, is he coming here as well? Yes, and we're clear. Oh, well, we were clear. Oh God, come on, shift up a little bit here. Is there a coach in my bit? No, it's okay, I'll go on this side. Sweet, perfect. Hi up again, guys. Right, we've topped up the tanks again. It's rude not to because we're so close to the ferry terminal. I've got my ginger biscuits, not for the Dover Calais, it's a waste of time, for a Hoek van Holland. So now let's make our way back to the ferry terminal. Come on, hurry up, let's go. Let's get round the bend. Be careful of a van sticking out here. Right, cover the brakes in case it's a bit greasy with the fog. Yeah, this fuel island is perfect. Literally 2 minutes away from the terminal. And the traffic light gods are on hand today. We're on my side. Right, well, we've gone through the French passport control. So now let us go to check in. And I think there's another lad, or young lad, I don't know, new guy, he's never been here before, so if you get on the same boat, he's going there, so I'm gonna have to show him the ropes. I've been there once myself, case of a blind leading the blind. No, I've been there before myself, so right, P&O, our usual guys in here. Hopefully it's not a massive delay. An hour and a half. It looks quite busy. It's no, P&O looks empty. Yes, get in. Hopefully that doesn't mean that they've closed it and the next crossing has gone. Okay, I'll catch up with you when I'm back in the lanes. Hi guys, so we're in lane 227 tonight on a 2355 shipping. So don't know whether the other lads up here already be here, or he might have shipped on the earlier ferry crossing. So ours is 227 all the way down here. Right at the very end. Can I see him? 227, here we are. Am I going to be the last one in line? Yes, I am. Oh, and there's a fella cooking his food there, so I've got to be a bit careful here, of course. And he's right, I think he's going to have the common sense just to shift a minute till I'm parked up. Okay, we're gonna have to leave her here. Let's put ourselves on break. Okay, we're on break. Alright, and I'll catch up with you guys in a little while. Now, another thing as well, like years and years ago, you know, I've worked in offices, I've done this and that, you know, before becoming a truck driver, before finding what I actually love to do. Now, I've worked, you know, with a lot of Muslim lads, Asian lads and that. So I've had, you know, friends in various different communities, Sikhs, Muslims, Chinese, everything. Now it's the same with the trucking community. You know, you'll find every truck driver from every walk of life, every religion, every race. And same with the motorcycle community. Now the thing is, if we can't check the people in your community if they're doing wrong, you know, we should be able to check these people. So in the trucking community, if you see someone doing something wrong, or you know they've effed up somewhere, we'll pull them. You know, you'll tell them, you know, what you're doing wrong, and you try to, you know, make sure they don't do it again. You know, same in the biking community. You're going to get, you know, good and bad in everything, but you need to be able to have that conversation, the frank and honest conversation with whoever. Whether it's a biker who's an absolute idiot, you know, there's enough motorcycle clubs in the UK and America, you know, I'm sure if everybody got together and we decide to have these conversations with a small minority and put things right, you know, this will soon come to an end, soon come to a stop. But as I said before, the small minority are actually silencing the majority. So something needs to change. And you've seen what happened in Spain, all the problems I had in Spain recently as well, with the there was a elderly gentleman got attacked by some migrants. Now I don't know whether it was Moroccans or whatever, but tensions are usually high between the Spanish and the Moroccans because of what happened how many hundreds of years ago with the Moors and the Christians. So tensions are still high now over that, and all it takes is like one little thing to kickstart it off. So it's an incendiary. That's all it would take. And yet how many times in England you hear about what's happened to all these young girls in these various towns and cities. You know, only at Ireland I've seen that's really kicked off and rioted, and I'll give hats off to the Irish for that. You guys know how to riot. You don't mess about. Southport, similar kind of thing. Over an absolute creature that shouldn't, you know, should still not be breathing now. Should have been put down like the dog that he is. You know, these kind of people, they get away with it. And again, and these atrocities are all committed from the so-called religion of peace. So there needs to be a frank conversation as to why it's always that religion that's causing all these kind of issues. And if we can't have these frank conversations, well, there's a time for talking and there's a time for doing. You know, people need to